My august nation, distinguished Speaker of the Parliament, distinguished head of the National Movement Party, distinguished head of the Grand Unity Party, valuable guests, I would like to greet you all wholeheartedly with longing and affection. On the 951st anniversary of the Malazgirt glory, I would like to remember and commemorate all our heroic soldiers, our martyrs, our veterans, and our leaders, starting with Alparslan, who made those lands our homeland. Yesterday in Ahlat, we came together with our youngsters, with our citizens, with great joy. In Ahlat province, we have constructed an office of a presidential complex next to the one river, and by making these lands our homeland, by shedding their blood, this is the symbol of us, showing that we are inherited with such a heritage. The Battle of Malazgirt opened the Anatolia as the homeland to the whole Turkish nation. As a result, the Battle of Malazgirt opened the doors of those lands for eternity to us. Indeed, before this glory, our ancestors came all the way to Kayseri and all the way to the Istanbul Straits, all around the Anatolia. But turning those lands a secure and a safe environment didn't come to fruition before the Malazgirt glory. With its Malazgirt glory, Sultan Alp Arslan turned those lands into the homeland of the Turkish people. The Seljukian army came face to face with the Byzantine army. When that happened, all around the Islamic world, people were praying for the glory of Sultan Alparslan. On the Malazgirt plain, two armies faced each other, and on that morning, Sultan Alparslan prayed in front of his commanders, and he was saying as follows: "My dear brothers, oh my God, I will be representing you today, and with this jihad I will be getting closer to you. So I am submitting myself to you, and I pray for you. If you accept my sincerity, help me in this jihad against our enemies and make me glorious." After this praying, Sultan Alparslan, just like today, on the day of Friday, after the Friday prayer, he wore his white cloth and he took on his horse and went on an attack with his army, thinking that he will be a martyr if he dies. As you know, today, right here, we will do our Friday prayers here, and we will be marching after the traces of our ancestors. So all together, on the prayer place of Sultan Alparslan, we will pray for the heroic soldiers of that glorious army. The fight and the war lasted until the night back then, and thanks to the methodologies and the tactics opted by Sultan Alparslan, it was a definitive victory for the Seljukian army. When the belief and the faith is strong, and when the army is strong, then the victory will definitely follow. So As Osmanoğlu says, it was the month of August and the day was Friday, and he continues to depict this time with the following sentences. The brave men will shed their blood, and then the flag will go up, and the Anatolia will become our homeland. The red apple, oh, the red apple. So the Mehter platoon will start playing, and the words of God is great will be chanted. After the Malazgirt battle, small chiefdoms were founded in Anatolia, and they came together first under the roof of Selçuklu Empire and later on under the Ottoman Empire, and serving as the pillars of a great empire. So the Byzantine emperor who lost this battle, although pardoned by Sultan Alparslan, was murdered by the opposition in his own empire. There are certain people who should remember this day as a day of taking their lessons, to whom we have extended our helping hand. So the inevitable history was written with the conquest of Istanbul later on by the Fatih, and the poet depicts this conquest with the following sentences.
Şafak söktü. Gün ışıdı işte. İşte size geldi gurur.
So it was the break of day and the dawn came to an end. Hear the voices. The Byzantine Empire fell down in Malazgirt. So after the Malazgirt battle, the rest was the time of happening for our ancestors. Dear brothers and sisters, throughout the Turkish history there are many glories, but there is a reason why we are underlining the importance of Malazgirt glory. And there is a reason why we are explaining this glory to our youngsters, because the Malazgirt glory, Malazgirt victory, is at the same time the victory of all the Muslims together with the Turkish nation. The Malazgirt battle is the first step of all the glories that we have won in those lands. It is just like the mother of all those glories. Halide Nusret defines this feature of Malazgirt with the following sentences. So their armors were just like the wind, so the citations were going up to the air just like the thundering light, and they have broken down all the oppression. This was a sacred war, not resembling to others. The brave man was fighting for the God and on the sacred path. After only 3 or 4 years of the Malazgirt glory, the Anatolian Selçukluan state was founded, and after 200 years almost, the Ottoman Empire was founded, and later on, after 852 years, the Republic of Turkey was founded, and they were all the yields of this glory. If Sultan Alparslan hadn't opened the doors of Anatolia not to be closed again to us, then our presence in those homelands, in these lands, I wonder whether it will be permanent for us. I'm not very sure. That's why we will never forget the Battle of Malazgirt. We will make sure that the Battle of Malazgirt is not forgotten. It will always have its place in our minds and in our hearts. And we are certain that our ancestors showed great importance to this fact. Dear youngsters, one of the historical events which have been
şiirlerle
researched the most is the Battle of Malazgirt. The Battle of Malazgirt, which have already turned into a saga, an epic with poems and with the novels, we should really tell this story to the future generations step by step, so it is incumbent upon all of us. We know the days when the Battle of Malazgirt was tried to be forgotten by us. Our poets with their poems, our historians with their masterpieces foiled this heinous game, and they have left us many literary works which we remember with great joy. From Yahya Kemal to Tanpınar, from Mustafa Necati to Osmanoğlu, from Arif Nihat to Mr. Attila, we would like to thank all our intellectuals who left us all those literary masterpieces. The poem of Yahya Kemal tells us the summary of every fight that we fought on the Anatolian lands. So this storm that broke out is the Turkish army. This is the army which is dying on your path. So your name will be heard with the adhans. Make this army glorious, because this is the last army of Islam. In every one of our cross-border operations, we are extending our helping hands to our friends and our allies. So we are always carrying the spirit of this poem as we do our cross-border operations, and that's how we have accomplished all our cross-border operations. The poem of Arif Nihat Asya also gives us wonderful messages. So our grandsons and daughters will go all the way from Malazgirt to Anatolia. If they do not understand the importance of that victory, let it be erased from the map. On both sides, the left and right will go shoulder to shoulder, even if it is the last minute of our lives. We will not ask for pardon, so that our martyrs will go to the presence of our Creator. Anyone who presents a sip of water to our injured, let them be bestowed with honey. So those sentences are not addressing to the wisdom of our nation, but at the same time the consciousness and the morality of our people. That's why we will be preserving those sentences in the best place of our hearts forever. As our ancestors make us remember how they approached their enemies with those sentences, just like Sultan Alparslan, just like Osman Gazi, just like Fatih the Conqueror, Yavuz Sultan Selim and Süleyman the Magnificent did. Today we are also fighting in the field of contest, but we are not sacrificing the lives of any innocent civilian. That's how we are carrying out our cross-border operations. So anywhere the Turkish flag is raised in the air, those lands are seen as the environment of peace and tranquility. Of course, there are the ones who are trying to abuse this reality. But with our solemn and determined stance, we know how to overcome all those games. Dear brothers and sisters, step by step, the Anatolia turned into our homeland of our civilization. And by making use of swords and by making use of pens and hearts, we turned those lands into our homeland. From Erhan's to Tekbir citations, you will find joy in those lands. I turned those soils into my homeland. I have put my forehead 5 times a day on it as a mark. As the symbol of our civilization, our Erhans are heard and revered in our sky, and our Turkish red flag is high above the air. And these are all the symbols of our love and passion for this territory. As we say, the Erhans will never go down, the flag will never go down. They are the ones who are at unease. Their knees are shaking down and they see everywhere in red mist. But they are working in vain, because those Erhans, those glories, are at the same time the symbols of and the warranties of their future and their honor. As long as they are not in treason with their homeland, as long as they are not the enemies of their own nation, and as long as they are not showing hostility to our national values and principles, then everyone will be the crown of our head, of course. Thanks to God, our country, our nation has enough means which will suffice the needs of everyone. Our state has the strength and power to embrace each one of our citizens. That's why, at every opportunity that we find, we will repeat those sentences. Are we ready? What do we say at every opportunity? We say one nation. With a louder voice, please. We say one flag. We also say one homeland, and we say one state. We'll become one. We'll become great. We'll become firm. We'll become brothers and sisters, and all together we will become Turkey. We will never fall into any games, and we will never be knuckled down by any traps. We will show no tolerance to those games or traps. Anyone who are eyeing on our independence, which is symbolized with our red flag, will never be forgiven. They should know this very well. The ones who are trying to destroy our state or divide our homeland, we will never pardon them. Other than that, our hearts and our doors are open for anyone else. From Sultan Alparslan to Süleyman Shah, from Osman Gazi to Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. The more we are embracing each other and our values and our principles, then we will be marching much faster to our red apples. Are we ready? So the greatest vision of us is defined in our 2023 targets. That's why we have given our words to our nation. Are we going to knock on the doors of everyone? As the People's Alliance, if God is willing, of course, are we ready to come out glorious from the ballot box? We have dedicated the 2053 vision to the 100th anniversary of our conquest. And that's why we have come up with our dreams for 2071, which is dedicated for the 1000th anniversary of the Malazgirt glory. So last century was the century of our revival. The 21st century is our century of glory, and hopefully the upcoming 100 years will be the century of our civilization. You should never forget this. I would like to conclude my remarks with the words of Ömer Özmen, which moves me very much. On a Friday morning, in front of our God, 54,000 soldiers in Malazgirt composed the best music. Allah is great, Allah is great. So the glorious news of conquest with our flag was heard. So in the seas we had our first prayer rug. The army of Sultan Alparslan came with lights, so the hands which are praying for God is approaching. Stand up, serve as a dome. Minarets are coming to those lands, so they have taken shower with the divine chants, and the white hounds are coming from the mountains as the last army of the Prophet, peace be upon him. So with those feelings, I would like to commemorate once again with great appreciation the last army of Islam. So I hope that 951st anniversary of the Malazgirt glory be auspicious for our people, for Anatolia, and for the whole Islamic world. I would like to greet you all once again and saying that the footsteps of Alparslan is still reverb in those lands. I greet you all with love and respect. May you all stay healthy and safe.
Ve Sayın Cumhurbaşkanımızı bir müddet daha sahnede misafir ediyoruz. Gün anısına Sayın Cumhurbaşkanımıza hediyelerini takdim etmek üzere Okçular Vakfı Mütevelli Başkanımız Sayın Haydar Ali Yıldız'ı sahneye davet ediyorum. Buyurun Sayın Başkanım. Ve şimdi hediyelerini almak üzere Milliyetçi Hareket Partisi Genel Başkanı Sayın Devlet Bahçeli'yi sahneye davet ediyorum. Buyurunuz lütfen.